Welcome. This is the May 2014 CXC CSEC General Paper 2 exam video solution. Let's start with question 1A. Now the first part of question 1A is asking us to use a calculator or otherwise to determine the value of this division. That's 5.25 divided by 0.015. And we can just type this in our calculator, and when we do that, the result is 350. So the answer for part 1 here is 350. Part 2 wants us to use the calculator again to find the value of this square root of 6.5025. So we go ahead, type this in our calculator, and when we do this calculation, the result is 2.55. Part 3 now wants us to calculate the value of this to 3 significant figures. So again, put this in our calculator, and when we do this calculation, the result in the calculator will show this 15.7090444832, but the answer is required to 3 significant figures. Now the first significant figure in this number will be 1. That is the first non-zero digit in this number is 1. So that's the first significant figure. So that's 1, 2, 3. So this is the third significant figure. So we want to be correcting this, and we're going to correct this 7 with this 0 here. And so because this is less than 5, this 7 which is being corrected will remain as 7. And so the answer to 3 significant figures is 15.7. That is, this calculation corrected 3 significant figures is 15.7. That's the answer for part 1A. Let's move down now to 1B. Now 1B tells us that concrete tiles are made by mixing buckets of cement with buckets of sand and buckets of gravel in the ratio 1 to 4 to 6. That is 1 bucket of cement to 4 buckets of sand to 6 buckets of gravel. Let's show that. And this is the ratio in which the cement, the sand, and the gravel are mixed. 1 bucket of cement to 4 buckets of sand to 6 buckets of gravel. Now the important thing here is that this ratio must remain constant, and so this ratio can be multiplied or divided by any constant to find any value. So we can find any number of buckets of any two to go with any required number of buckets of any other one. Let's go down to the questions. Now part 1 wants us to find how many buckets of gravel will be needed with 4 buckets of cement. We want 4 buckets of cement, and so in this ratio the number of buckets of cement is 1. And so to get the number of buckets of cement to be 4, we would simply multiply the ratio by 4. And that's what we'll do. We'll multiply the ratio by 4 so that the number of buckets of cement becomes 4 in this ratio. So let's see what happens. When the ratio is multiplied by 4, we end up having 4 buckets of cement. The 4 here multiplied by 4 gives us 16 buckets of sand, and the 6 here multiplied by 4 gives us 24 buckets of gravel. That's it. We multiply this ratio by 4. 4 multiplied by 1 is 4. 4 multiplied by 4 is 16. And 6 multiplied by 4 is 24. And so when we have 4 buckets of cement, we will have 16 buckets of sand and 24 buckets of gravel. And so this is the answer. 4 buckets of cement require 24 buckets of gravel. And that's the answer for part 1. Part 2 now wants us to say what will be required when we have 20 buckets of sand. When we have 20 buckets of sand, we want to know how many buckets of cement we will have and also how many buckets of gravel. And so to get the number of buckets of sand in the original ratio to become 20, we will multiply this ratio here by 5, because 5 multiplied by 4 is 20, we want 20 buckets of sand, and so we multiply the ratio by 5. And so that's it. We're going to multiply the ratio by 5 such that the number of buckets of sand in the ratio will become 20. And so let's show that calculation. And this is it. When we multiply the ratio by 5, we get 5 multiplied by 1 is 5. So we'll have 5 buckets of cement. The 4 multiplied by 5 here will give us 20. That's 20 buckets of sand, which is what we want. And then when we multiply the 6 here by 5, it becomes 30. So when we multiply this ratio by 5, it becomes 5 buckets of cement to 20 buckets of sand to 30 buckets of gravel. And so this is a ratio when we have 20 buckets of sand. And so the answer here is that for 20 buckets of sand, we will require 5 buckets of cement. That's it. And when we have 20 buckets of sand, we will require 30 buckets of gravel. And so that's the answer. 20 buckets of sand will require 5 buckets of cement and 30 buckets of gravel. And that's the answer for part B. Let's move down now to part C. Now part C tells us that the cash price for a laptop is $1,299. That's the price if you're purchasing the laptop cash. We're also told of a hire purchase arrangement whereby we can make a deposit of $350 and then make 10 monthly payments of $120. That's how we would purchase the laptop on hire purchase. We can make a $350 deposit, a one-time deposit of $350, and then for 10 months we will pay $120 for each of 10 months. And first part of this question wants us to say what the total hire purchase price would be. And that would be the $350 deposit plus the 10 payments of $120. So let's show that calculation. And this is it. The total hire purchase price will be $350 plus 10 multiplied by $120. That's the $250 deposit plus the 10 payments of $120 each. And the total for that calculation is $1,550. So if we purchase a laptop on hire purchase, then this is what we would pay in total. Part 2 wants us to say how much we would save by buying the laptop for cash. If we bought the laptop cash instead of on hire purchase, what would be our savings? How much would we save? And we see that the hire purchase price is $1,550, while the cash price, one-time cash price purchase, would be $1,299. And so to calculate the savings, it's just a simple matter of subtracting the $1,299 from this $1,550, the higher purchase price. And so this is the calculation to know the amount saved, the higher purchase price minus the cash price. And that is it. And when we finalize this calculation, this is the result if we purchase a laptop for cash instead of using a hire purchase arrangement. And so that's the answer for this part of the question. And that's the end of question 1. We'll do question 2 in the next video. See you then.